Everyone. Well, I finally did get up and get dressed, and got my dishes almost all done. And I'm having some tea. Uh, my daughter and her husband had to get out. They're looking for a holding tank to hold the water when it comes up out of the well. It has pretty much went kaput, so everybody's having problems with water pressure. But they're out and doing that. And she called me and asked me if I wanted anything to make a list and send it to her. So I was going to start this a little bit earlier. I went to send her the message, and just before that, I was looking at my uh, bank text that I get to tell me how much uh, money I've spent and stuff like that. And I sent them the list. Oh my gosh! I sent them the list, and the computer came back and said, uh, basically, we can't make head or tails of what it is you're trying to say. So they shut me down. So I don't know if it's good and not going to send me any more text messages and stuff. So um, I don't know if I got it fixed or not, but I went and did that. But I made me some notes, folks. So I don't squirrel all over the place, and I don't mean to, but I don't know. I think of things that might go with what it is that I'm uh, talking to you about, and then I go off on that. But um, I've been I've been on this idea for quite some time, and it happened when I was going to college, and we were in one of our criminal justice classes, and our teacher at the time had used to be a police officer and sergeant and different things like that. And he was teaching us that particular class that day. And we were talking about the middle class and how they consider people the middle class and the lower class and all like that. Well, we were talking about me because I was on um, Social Security, and I wasn't even registered on poverty line for the income. So, and that's what he was saying, but uh, that's how they measure the middle class. Society measures the middle class by their income. But we were talking, I said, well, all right, I'm not even on the scale, but I feel like I have all the qualities, regardless of income or not, of what middle class people are. And he said, yes. He said, you are. You know how to handle your money and all that different stuff. You know how to handle a home. And um, so even though your income is not middle class, you are inwardly, is that how I want to say, how you handle your life. How you handle your life qualifies you as middle class. So I I've been thinking about this and how they're talking about the middle class now and stuff. So I don't know how they can judge that the middle class is going downhill or that they're losing the middle class. Middle class are still around because I've concluded that middle class just doesn't mean having money. It's a mental mindset, just like you have poverty mindsets. Um, that's just like um, how what I got. I said a middle class mindset is making your home the best it can be with what you have. whether you have a home or not. I mean, I've seen what I would call middle class people homeless, and they used what they had and what they could acquire while they were on the street to set themselves up a shelter, a home, and they would set that tent up inside with all the uh, equipment or whatever that would make them comfortable as to where they were at. What would give them a little bit of contentment, a little bit of peace, and and but the problem with that, some people get out there and they get complacent where they're at because they're so busy trying to make that tent their home that they kind of forget where they're at. And they're so grateful that they got a nice couch set up in their tent, or a nice bed set up in their tent, and they get so grateful for that, even though they're still struggling out and around, uh, trying to get their food and stuff. And some of them may even have a job, and they the gratitude, which I've talked about this before, because you'll have people tell you over and over again, well, you ought to be grateful you got a roof over your head. You ought to be grateful that you have this. And you ought to be grateful for that. So people that they get grateful, but it's the people that I feel have, and this is just my opinion, that have a poor mindset, and they are grateful for what they got, but they stay there. They don't have that drive in them to be a high achiever. So that's like middle class, the middle class of humanity. If I'm even saying that right, as far as society goes, uh, base it on money. But in reality, it's not based just on money. It's based, the only part of the money part that is based on is they know how to handle their money wisely, with what they've got, and they middle class people are really inwardly high. What's the word that I got? High achievers. They're very high achievers, and there's not a poor mentality in them. They just they are busy because they are high achievers. They are busy finding a way where there seems to be no way. And they're always digging deep in their creativeness and trying to make their jobs better, trying to find a better job. And they go and they move forward and grow and adapt till they can uh, make a way where there seems to be no way. They get out there and they find some kind of job. They get out there and they create their own business. Those are high achievers. To me, that's what middle class is. Well, actually, I could even say that although they have no money, they have, they're wealthy. They're wealthy with knowledge. They're wealthy with that high achievement gene in them. But here's the thing. Um, Society sets things up so that if you can't go above and beyond a certain mindset. Like, okay, so now, but people with a poor mindset um, will try to live as in a middle class life. So when that carrot is hung out in front of them, they actually try to go for that carrot that society set out in front of them instead of paving their own way, like a high achiever uh, will do. The ones that have that mentality, I will do this. I am going to make this happen. And but people, like I said, people with poor mindset, and how people get that poor mindset is how they were raised, how they were programmed, how their subconscious picks up on things as they're growing up, and some of them can pull out of that and some can't. But you look around and you see a lot of people that they look like they're middle class because somehow, some way they uh, use credit cards. They did have a really good job for a while, and then they went out and bought this big fancy house, and of course had a family, and but still lingering within that is a poor mindset because they find ways to say, like if they had, like, society hangs the carrot out in front of you, and there's certain regulations and certain things for you to reach out and grab that carrot, but they can't get past that subconscious programming that they were programmed with when they were growing up. Well, I can't I can't do this particular thing to reach that carrot. And they'll stick with that carrot instead of, well, now wait a minute. I know I was raised this way. But that didn't work out for them, my family, and I can see my neighbors was raised that way, and that's not working out for them. So can I go in another direction? Can I create my own carrot to go for instead of reaching out to society's carrot? And so when they've got this big fancy house, and they've got right now a good job, and spending their money on this and that, but when they come up against something that they've got to adapt to, that subconscious mind comes in there, and somewhere around there they get all messed up and can't think logically, can't do any critical thinking because they've come up against a wall that they've been programmed with, and their subconscious mind holds on to that. But a high achiever, they don't have a poor mentality mindset. They just know that if I do thus, and thus, something better is going to come. And of course, and there's been some high achievers that tried certain routes and stuff and it didn't work, but they didn't give up. That's the whole thing. That's the difference between uh, true middle class people and people that have and was raised with a poor mindset trying to live in middle class. So let me see. So the middle life, the middle middle class life that they're trying to live with that poor mindset, it's not going to stick. It's not going to stay. And let me see what I've got wrote here. And then of course there's the high achievers that are ill. And of course, some of them, by the time that they're ill, they're older, and of course society has placed a wall in front of them too. But they don't have a poor mindset. They've got that middle class high achiever mindset, and but they've got, even though they don't have, and there are people, I'm stuttering, I can't get my mouth going right. Some of them have major impairments, just like Stephen Hawking. He had a good life, and then after he got so far, he got some kind of I don't know what kind of disease it was, but it was a big impairment. But he still had that high achievement, that middle class mentality. I would even say wealthy mentality that spurred him forward. He bypassed society's carrot. He made his own carrot and reached for his own carrot, his own ambitions. But people with even smaller impairments, and I'm gonna use me as an example. I have different things going on. I mean, back in '95, they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, which was pain all over and excruciating pain. Sometimes that you couldn't function, and I was tired all the time, and different things. But I feel like I am, and I know I am. I'm a high achiever, and I don't. I did reach for the carrot for a little bit back in my younger days, and looking for support from the government and stuff, but I finally quit that. But even though I'm ill and with small impairments, I still push forward. And there's a lot of people out there. In fact, one of my subscribers, we were talking about snow, and she come and commented. She said, "Well, this old lady is going to go out and clean my car off and get herself out where she was all snowed in." And you do what you got to do because you want to be comfortable. High achievers are not particularly wanting to be famous or have a million friends or anything like that. It's just built in them to do what it takes for them to be comfortable and happy and content. And although people with a poor mindset, they want to do the same thing, but they've been programmed so differently than people with high achieving that they make the wrong choices. They can't get past the fact that, well, my family was poor, I grew up poor, I grew up this way or I grew up that way, and society says, well, if you don't have enough of this, you're this, and they keep themselves stuck there, and that's hard. That's hard for people to sit down and think about it and push their way through. Now, I have to tell you, I'm still adapting. At 81, I'm still adapting. But I have such a drive in me, like so many other people, and the ones that really have the drive, the high achievers are the ones that come out and be millionaires and stuff like that. Now, I've started late in life, and I can sit here and say, well, I don't have it. And a lot of people might say, well, you don't have enough time to become a millionaire or get that wealthy or get that well. Well, first of all, uh, I I already feel like I'm wealthy now. I don't have a bunch of money, but I have my words. I have my imagination. I have my thought process. Uh, I have a sound mind, and our words are powerful. So if I know what it is that I want, if I don't have to have money, not right this moment, because when I speak what I want, the universe, the creator within me, will start things working out there in all that energy to bring things to me that I'm asking for. And that's one of the things we're not supposed to question about how it's going to get to us. Okay, just for an example, I knew these people. Well, they were my landlords in Florida, and there was a point in time that they had their own church, and their brother was into drugs and stuff, and he was making all kinds of money off of drugs and things, and he knew some people that that wanted to give his brother's church some lots of money, and they said no, we don't want any of that kind of money. And that kind of reminds me of of the story about the man that was on top of the roof and it had flooded all around, and he kept praying, Lord God save me, Lord God save me. And three different opportunities came by to pick him off of that roof and save him. But of course, then he died, and he got to heaven, and or wherever he was at, and he said, "Why didn't you save me?" God said, "Good Lord, I sent you three different opportunities." So if I'm sitting here and I'm talking to the Creator within me, we're sitting there talking, and I'm saying what I would like to have, and um, I don't know. It might be a year, 2 years, or it might happen instantly. I might be, I might be in a store someplace, sitting there and just waiting on uh, maybe they're fixing my tires or something. And somebody comes by and say, "Hi, what, how you doing today?" And here might be a drug lord. I don't know, but for whatever reason, the universe spoke to him or something. We don't know how it's going to happen. Come over and hand me a couple $1,000,000 and say, spend it wisely and pay it forward. We do not know how it's going to come to us, and we're not supposed to refuse it. So that poor mentality also goes in, well, I don't deserve it. Yeah, I deserve I deserve everything I'm asking for. Um, but anyway, that high achievers is what I feel constitutes some middle class people. People that want to take care of their home. People that find ways of taking care of their home. I could remember when I just had my one baby, and we just moved into this apartment. No furniture to speak of. We did come up with some beds and a couch, maybe a table and chairs, but I didn't have any end tables. And I had a lamp, but I didn't have no end tables. So somehow, and I can't remember where I found the boxes, but I folded them all up together, and there was two of them, and big enough that they looked like they could look like end tables. So I put one on each side of the couch. I put some kind of a towel or blanket or piece of material over the top of them, and I set my lamps on it. That that is what I'm talking about. You use what you have or what you can come up with. You don't need money. I mean, you need money, but you don't need money. Somehow, some way, when you speak out what it is that you want and you have faith that it's going to come, somehow, some way, something will come to put you in a position where you feel comfortable. You feel like everything's going to be okay. So, but to me, that's what middle class is. High achievers. Someone that don't stay in a poor mindset and saying, "Woe is me" all the time. You're always searching to find ways to make your life better. So anyway, that's it for today, folks. My tea has gotten cold now, but um, we'll talk to you later. Remember, as a man thinks in his heart, that's the way he will go. And if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, that's the way it's going to go. Well, thank y'all. Love y'all. Hugs and kisses. Bye bye.